Spokesman said it had taken back 5 local settlements from...
For this debate, to have the address of...
If you're joining us now, welcome to Euronews' special coverage of this Council of Europe session where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, as you can see him on the screen, is due to address leaders.
Can you hear me?
He hasn't yet started speaking yet, and just to confirm, this is a body entirely separate from the European Union. And it's closed, quite closely named to the European Council, but it's entirely different.
Okay. Thank you.
President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is just setting up now, and it includes all European nations, or almost all, I should say, in and out of the EU, such as Turkey, the UK and France. Russia was partly suspended from the body after the annexation of Crimea in 2014. Russia has now fully been excluded from the body in the aftermath of its invasion of Ukraine. And some of the things the Council of Europe cares about are democracy, upholding the rule of law and human rights.
Millions of your citizens had to leave their homes, many of them even your country.
Zelenskyy is addressing the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. They meet around 4 times a year, usually for week-long periods at a time, with its members being chosen by member states.
Aggression is almost unimaginable. Please, Mr. President,
the Council of Europe has a very long history. It was originated from the Treaty of London in 1949, being the brainchild of Winston Churchill, the previous British Prime Minister, and other European leaders at the time who were just reeling in the aftermath of the Second World War. They wanted to establish a body that would uphold freedom, human rights, democracy and the rule of law in a Europe which was still really damaged from the effects of the war.
Mr. President, by crossing your borders, Russia also crossed...
In recent weeks, Russia has received a lot of condemnation, firstly for its annexation of 4 partially occupied areas of Ukraine, but also secondly for upping the nuclear rhetoric, making various hints at various times that it would be prepared, or it could be prepared, to use nuclear weapons. In response, NATO's secretive nuclear planning group has been meeting today as the military alliance presses ahead with plans to hold a nuclear exercise next week.
As an attack against the multilateral cooperation that is meant to protect...
And if you're just joining us now, welcome to Euronews' special coverage of this Council of Europe session, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is due to address the body's Parliamentary Assembly. So what exactly is the Council of Europe? Well, it's a body that is entirely separate from the European Union, and it's closely named part of the European Council. It includes nearly all European countries, both in and out of the EU, such as non-members of the EU being Turkey, the UK, for example, but also EU countries like France. Now, Russia was partially suspended from the body after the annexation of Crimea from Ukraine in 2014. Russia has now been fully excluded from the body in the aftermath of its more general invasion of Ukraine from February last year. And as you can see in the split screen now, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the Ukrainian president, is just about to speak to gathered
people. We are helping to create a system of international justice in cooperation with many others.
Recently, there has been a lot of controversy over the attack on the bridge connecting Crimea with the Russian mainland. It should be said, no one has claimed responsibility officially for the strike, but Russia has labelled the act as a terrorist attack of some of Kyiv's secret services, a claim which Kyiv has denied. It's led to many fears that tensions are massively escalating in the area, as parts of Russia that are considered to be key red lines, i.e. critical infrastructure in occupied Crimea, for example, are being crossed.
Mr. President, without further delay, I give you the floor.
And it looks like we're going to head now live to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. There are the members of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. Clapping him, and let's go to the hymn now. Thank you. Thank you for your support and the deep words that you used, very understandable words, your actions and your messages. Mr. President, Mrs. Secretary General, members of the Parliament, I'm very glad of this opportunity to address you here. Today, Ukraine wakes up with two questions. Ukraine has become again a target for these terrorists. When I say these days, I mean 2 days, a week, a month. The Russian terrorism in my country has lasted for 232 days after 8 years of war in the Donbass region. I think we have been warned what people have to live through. Media in Europe has enough information on the concrete manifestation of this war. The Ukrainian delegation at the Council of Europe is working importantly and is stressing what's important for Ukraine and the whole of Europe. I'm not going to waste your time and telling you on what's happening on the front lines right now and what the Russian terrorists are doing. I want to focus on how we can put a full stop on this situation, how the East will be restored, and how our territorial integrity will be restored. When I became president, there was a complicated situation in Ukraine with the PACE, the Parliamentary Council of the EU, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. The organization, i.e. the Council of Europe, said it was important to preserve a dialogue with Russia during the Donbass war before the invasion of Ukraine this year.
Цьогоріч вже немає нічого подібного. Я вдячний вам за це. Щиро вдячний.
Probably this organization, being Council of Europe, was trying to see the flaw in the money coming from Russia, which it stopped sending. After Russia started its aggression, you took the quick decision to expel Russia as a member. You put a resolution which accuses Russia of breaking international law. What does this mean today? It means we've started a true dialogue, a dialogue which is needed. This is a dialogue about how to save lives, how to defend and protect our values, how Europe can witness withheld attack when everything important is under attack. Russia is the biggest country in the world, and it's been preparing war for many, many months. And we can see the historical results of this dialogue. Europe has never been as strong as it has been now. Focused on everything, concentrated on everything. which allows or prevents Russia from destroying everything, which isolates them, which punishes them for their terrorism. Because of this dialogue, we have programs that support Ukraine. Financial support. We can help Ukrainians who have left Ukraine, who are trying to save themselves from Russia. And from the energy weapons that Russia is currently using against all of Europe. We have to carry on leading this dialogue. I ask all of you gathered here on all levels to provide Ukraine support, to provide us with weapons, including air defense systems. We have to protect our skies from Russian terror. Now, if this will be done, it will be a fundamental step to ending the war with dialogue. With dialogue, we need to stop Russia from financing this war. We must get rid of the income that comes in from gas and oil exports from Moscow. Some of the sanction packets of the European Union help with this, but we have to carry on this dialogue to stop or to make Russia fulfill the demands of the international community and the International Atomic Energy Agency. This is especially true over the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Their troops must leave the plant. They have to leave the plant. We have to carry on this dialogue to punish those who committed war crimes. An initial mechanism must be created to punish these war crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see that Russia doesn't want real dialogue, they just want to use terror. And we have to recognize this on all levels. And you have to support our defense efforts. We are grateful that the Council of Europe, Parliamentary Assembly, the Council of Europe, can be the first organization that defines Russia as a terrorist state. The result of this type of Europe will be a stronger Europe, stronger than anyone else thought.
Європа може відіграти історичну роль у створенні спеціального трибуналу щодо злочину агресії Росії проти України.
Europe can have a special role in order to take a special tribunal to punish Russia.
Європа може стати лідером в зусиллях, щоб відшкодувати.
It would be the best way to protect the principles of international law.
Компенсаційний механізм. І пропонуємо, як його створити.
We have to create a mechanism of compensation that Russia will have to pay for this war, and we would like you to support this idea. At both this level, but also the General Assembly of the United Nations.
Російські активи мають бути направлені на компенсацію збитків від війни.
We also must chase those who use corruption in order to provide Russia with the tools that it needs for this war. That's why you see where this dialogue is in order to stop this war. Ukraine proposes its way to peace, implementation, decisions in order to protect Ukraine. to protect ultimately humanity as well, and to increase the costs of this war for the aggressor. The way to victory is shorter than anyone thinks.
Я дякую вам за увагу. Я дякую вам за велику підтримку. Хай живе Європа. Слава Україні.
I'm very grateful for all of your support. Glory to Europe, glory to Ukraine. So as you're just seeing here now, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe are on their feet, clapping after a speech from the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, who's addressed assembled parliamentarians there. If you're just joining Euronews' special coverage, this is the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has just addressed parliamentary leaders. He talked on a range of subjects, but namely on the new idea of having a tribunal to prosecute Russian war crimes made by the Council of Europe, which is a body that is to uphold democracy and human rights. It ejected Russia after its invasion of Ukraine after February. Stay tuned for Euronews for more updates on this and other stories within the war in Ukraine.